What's up with DPFs, manual regens, Tier 4? What's it all about? Modern tractors, sold in this country and Canada for that matter, had to achieve a level of cleanliness as they operate, soot-wise, particulate matter-wise, coming out the exhaust, that was not what they used to be. They used to just pour smoke out and, horrible stuff and, pollutes everything. So the manufacturers, each one, they were allowed to pick their own system on how to get to Tier 4, how to make it burn clean, that they then could present to the EPA, and, the EPA would certify it, assuming they did their job right. Coyote, like most companies, they have a DPF, diesel particulate filter. Under the hood, it's a big tubular thing, and it looks like a catalytic converter. It's about half the size and shape of a rolled up sleeping bag. It's this big. You can't miss it. The diesel particulate filter is filtering the diesel particulates out of the exhaust. And it's when you're running the tractor, it's doing its own deal, and it's a very happy thing. These tractors are designed to run. Some folks, they lope the tractor to very low RPMs, and for a variety of reasons, that's not good. The tractors are made to run. They have a mark on them. This one is about 2,400 RPMs. The 3 cylinders are about 2,600 RPMs, and no kidding, they run them, let them stretch to their legs. And when the tractor's operated like that, time and time again, it's very happy, and it's keeping itself clean, and it's not requiring what's known as a manual regen. It will do a passive regen, meaning it does it itself, and you'll be tooling along, and this light will come on, and it'll be like, oh, okay. And that means it's about to do its own thing. It's about to do a passive regen, and you'll feel it. It'll lose about 10% of the horsepower, 10% of the RPMs. By all means, keep working the tractor. Set the RPMs up to where you were using them to compensate for what it's doing during its regen, and keep doing what you're doing. If you're tilling, if you're mowing, if you're doing loader work, just keep doing it. And don't let the tractor run below 1,500 RPMs. And during this time, really any time, but during this time. It takes, people tell me, 10 to 12 minutes, and then you're good. You're good for another how many ever hours, I don't know. Depends on how you operate the tractor. Okay, so if you ignore it when it's doing its own deal, and you shut the engine off, and maybe the next time you're out, it tries to do it again, and you shut it off again, it's going to get aggravated with you, and it's going to then require you to do a manual regen. And if that's the case, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. What it is time consuming compared to what it tried to do for itself. A manual regen can take 30 to 40 minutes, but I'm going to take you outside and show you how to do a manual regen. And it's truly as simple as, and I think most tractors are probably like this the same way. It's truly as simple as parking it on a level ground outside, putting everything in neutral, setting the brake, starting the engine, warming it to 3-4 minutes to let it get to an operating temperature, and pushing and holding this regen button for more than 2 seconds, and then the tractor takes over. It'll rev up, it'll come down, it'll rev up and come down. It'll do its own deal for 30 or 40 minutes, and then eventually it'll idle back down. You're done. That was a manual regen. And if you don't want to, do it again and waste 30 to 40 minutes of your life, next time let the tractor do its own deal. But let's go outside and we will do a manual regen on a Coyote tractor. Let's take a look. Okay, let's do a manual regen on a Coyote NS 4710, typical of everything from 35 to 73 horsepower. A manual regen is very simple. According to the owner's manual, park on level ground, start the engine and let it idle, set the parking brake, put the range selector in neutral, let the engine warm up 3 to 4 minutes, and then push and hold the regen button for over 2 seconds, and then find something to do for 30 to 40 minutes. I can assure you that a passive regen, the one that the tractor tried to do itself, is a whole lot less than 30 minutes. 10, 12. So yeah, try to let it, don't shut it off while it's doing its own regen. But let's do a manual regen. Okay, I didn't make you sit through the 3-minute warm-up that I just performed for the engine. The tractor is warmed up, so I did do that. All right, this is happens to be a shuttle shift, so it's a manual transmission with a shuttle shift. Everything's in neutral. This goes in neutral, this goes in neutral. The range selector goes in neutral. The brake gets set. You start the tractor. And as you can tell, it's idling at about 900 RPMs, which is typical. Now, when you push this is the button right here. Can you see that? I hope so. In the up position, this one. That's to stop it. Don't do that. Don't stop it in the middle of a regen. This starts the regen, and the tractor will take over. It'll raise and lower the RPMs. It's cooking. It's in its cooking cycle. It's cooking off the soot. So let's engage it. Push and hold for better than 2 seconds, according to the owner's manual. There it goes. And take your finger away. It is doing a manual regen. Right now it's at 1400 RPMs, and in a little bit it will go up substantially from there. Now this tractor has 1 hour on it, so right now it's looking for the soot that is supposed to have accumulated, which is the reason we're doing a regen, and it's not going to find it, so it very well may not hop up to the higher RPMs to do the burn off. But picture the tachometer going up for a long time and then going down and then going up and then going down. And when it's all done, it will drop back to idle and the manual regen is done. I'm not going to shut it off, but if there was an emergency, and I don't know what that emergency would be, that's how you shut it off, cancel the regen. This regen will take no time at all because there's nothing in there. So that's it. Nothing to be afraid of. It couldn't be easier, really. And it's even if you do need to do a manual regen, as you can see, it's not hard. But you should never have to do a manual regen if you let the tractor do its passive regen all by itself. Always operate the tractor at a good RPM, which is 1800 and over. If it's a hydrostat and you're driving it, run it at the 24, 25 that it's rated at. And if you're using the PTO, by all means, run it at in this case, it's 2600 RPMs. Let it stretch its legs. It's made to do it.